So it's about 6 o'clock right now, January 28th, giving you guys an update regarding using BatchDialer. So again, I had 60 numbers on my account. I deleted 59, and this was the last number that I kept to show you proof that over and over and over again, they give you the same spam numbers. So every time you make an outbound call with any of these from numbers, it's going to be marking AT&T as spam and T-Mobile as spam. From what the girl told me, they refunded. Let me double check. They refunded uh, all the charges of the $1 replacement, the $10. So all the phone numbers that anything past 200 they get refunded. So it's about 35. So they refunded me 35 for this month, and then last month it was 60. So 60 plus 35 is a total of $95, which is here. She said right here, a total of $95 has been refunded to your card, whatever, blah blah blah. So this is them sweeping it underneath the rug and not really addressing the issue. So for those who didn't watch part one, so BatchDialer is a multi-line dialer. You can use up to 3 to 4 lines, or it's 1 to 5 lines. From what the text says, I think his name is Zion or Shane, Zhan. He's the only tech guy that you will ever speak to take a look at your system, see if there's anything wrong with it. Usually he looks at the speed of he usually go to like test my speed, internet speed, and then check your Chrome browser to see if there's anything that you might have interference with the dialer itself. So usually, imagine you get 60 of these numbers, and I'm not gonna add any more numbers because they might charge me more, but let me show you. This was my account. I had all these numbers that I had on my account, and then I deleted 59 and only had one. We could toggle this on and off, but there's no limiter where it says, okay, hard stop at 200 replacement. It just keeps on going unless you're watching your account. So anything over 200, from 200 onwards, they're going to charge you $1 per replacement. So this number, that's quite crazy to have 200 plus replacement numbers in a single month cycle. So all these numbers, it says, all these reputations says green shields. It's really misleading because look at right here. This is a green shield, but you tell me there's 2 carriers already marked as spam, AT&T and T-Mobile. So let's just be honest. If you have more than 2 carriers, that's basically donezo. No one's going to ever pick up your phone call, resulting in a very low call rate. So I could go with the reports of, this month. And then I could look at how many people actually picked up. So this month is 26,000 conversations. And then clicking all the dispositions. That actually picked up, which is 634. 26,000 calls. So you have a pickup rate of 2.4%. Okay. And then mind you, of those 26,000 calls, you're getting 652 dead air. So all these numbers that you're calling at another 2.5%, let's just say whatever the math is, let's just say 26652 divided by 26,000 calls. That's still another 2.5. So you have 2.4 in actual pickups, and 2.5 are actually false positives or conversations where there's no one on the other line. So the productivity of picking these calls up when the other lines are calling or ringing sort of waste your time and the ISA's time in making these outbound calls. So regardless, they still have an issue of this since 2024. Now it's 2026. I don't know whoever is on the back end, but they still haven't fixed this false positive issue, and it's very discouraging to have a lot of conversations when no one's on the other line. So we could do December actually too. Got 12,039. And then 40,000 conversation, or 40,330. So it's about 3% that are actually dead or false positives, and then the pickup rate is 2.9. So the pickup rate and the false positive pickup rate are somewhat similar, 3% for the dead or false positive, and then 2.9% for the pickup rate, which is extremely low. It is a fast dialer. It's making a lot of calls in a given day. Let's just say on this day, on this day, 2,700 calls, 2,900 calls, 2,600 calls, 29. So let's just say the average like 2,700 calls in a given day. And then your pickup rate is around 3%. Let's just see how many conversations we had if we're still following this percentage. So for this day on the 12th, let's see how many people picked up. About 66. So some days it's actually lower than 3% actually. You know, let's go on this day, on the 15th. 66 conversations. 52, 51, 71, 66. Obviously, we're not calling in Christmas week, but you get the gist. We're averagely talking to around like, it says we're supposed to be getting around 81%, but sometimes we're not reaching that number even closely, maybe like 70 to 60 range. So the issue is the very low pickup rate, as you could see, 3%. The data is actually from their own company, you know, Batch Leads. All these numbers are literally from Batch Leads. And, you know, every, you know, skip tracing company, it's pretty accurate, around 60 to 70% accuracy. Some of them, they might be the right phone number, but not the accurate or the new property owner's number. It could be the old property owner that actually owned the property, but they don't live there anymore. So still technically the right number, but you know, it's old data. So in a sense, it's still technically wrong, but it's the right owner because they actually own the property at some point. So the problem that I have most, and I don't know why that's turned on, I turned it off so they don't keep on charging me. The problem that I have with BatchDialer the most is that they don't really clean the numbers. And when you have like 200 plus numbers being replaced in a single cycle, and I mind you, I stopped cold calling on the 21st, so I stopped 1 week early, and this could have shot up to like 270, 280, I don't know. So just imagine if you're working a 20 work week in a month and you get like 250 replacements, you have to replace 250 numbers every day. That's like 12 numbers that you were replacing, which is a little bit lower than what I thought, because on every day when I check all these, that screenshot that I had with this whoever I was talking to, Vince or something, all these, yeah, this is again, these are my numbers that I deleted so they don't continue to charge me. But all the numbers that I would check, I would always see 2 carriers flagged, 2 carriers, 1 carrier. So every carrier that I mark as flagged, they're in good faith to replace, because that's 66% out of the 2 carriers, out of the 3 is going to be marked as spam. So if God forbid that I do call a carrier that's not marking it as spam, I have a very low likelihood of them picking up the phone. Right. So I think there's a lot of negligence on this company's end to sort of, they're not really advertising that, the numbers are clean. It's just as is. But it's sort of that 200 credit or whatever the reputation replacement gets eaten up quickly than anticipated. Right. And this is me manually doing it myself. If you don't do it yourself, you could be using a from number that's marked as spam for a couple of days. Even they don't even replace them instantly until it's 3 carriers that are marking it as spam. So my hunch is that they have a pool of numbers, all the numbers from 204, Texas numbers, or whatever state, Florida, any zip code, area code that you're calling from. They have a pool of numbers. They keep that in their pool, and then there's no due diligence on their end to clean the numbers or put it on pause. So they just see, okay, this is the next available that we could give this guy, and it's dirty. Who cares? So in a sense, it sort of gives the end user a bad taste. Like, okay, wow, I anticipated or I wish that I got a clean number, and maybe at least 1 carrier that's marked as spam. Can I at least get that instead of 2? Is that too hard to ask? Yeah. So the update right now is that I'm not gonna renew with them. I just want everyone to know the certain situation. Uh, some person named Ben, I don't know who this is, joined the conversation saying, what your issue is facing is and how to fix it. There's no fraud or legal issue here. You simply need to turn on the auto replacement for your 60 included numbers. Can I help you if you're refusing to have a call with our tech who can show you how to enable this feature? I already know all this. I already know how to turn on and off the replacement. I turned it off because it's over 200 and you guys kept on billing me $1 every time this becomes marked as red. So this is a new number that you guys gave me. You guys gave me 3 different numbers since January 21st, and these are different numbers, and they're both marked as spam. The other day, it was just only AT&T, and then it turned into a T-Mobile one that is marked as spam, and then they replaced it. So I'm guessing they have some sort of algorithm. The moment it's like two carriers and a certain hour duration, but the moment it's like 3 carriers, they for sure automatically replaced it. Yeah. So my question to whoever this guy is, Ben. Sorry, my mouse is just. We're not trying to hide or charge you more. Quite the opposite. We're trying to speak with you and assist you to help you resolve this. If that was the case, instead of charging you more, why didn't you stop my account and say, hey, this guy's getting 10 replacements every day? That's insane. You're replacing 10 plus numbers every day. Let's just say I have, because I cold call Monday through Friday, or my ISA calls Monday through Friday, and that's a 20-day work week. If she's sick on a Wednesday, she works on a Saturday or something. But in general, it's a 20-day work week. I don't check if the numbers are marked as spam on Saturday or Sunday. I got too much shit to worry about. But on Monday, or every time she's finishing her shift, I always check number after number after number after number to see if there's any numbers that are more than 2 carriers. So by the time they do replace it, after a shift in the afternoon, and by the time she starts calling in the morning, then hopefully she gets clean numbers, or I'm able to see, okay, which numbers are marked as red. And mind you, there's 3 icons. There's a green, there's a yellow, and there used to be a yellow, but now it's just green or red. Yellow means more than 2 carriers that are marked as spam, but they're still considering this still good reputation, which is really false if you think about it. You have 2 out of the 3 top carriers that are marking the numbers as spam. The likelihood of me talking to someone on a mobile phone out of these 3 carriers is very, very low, especially if there's 2 carriers that are marked as spam. But if it's a landline or a home direct line to the home, there's a high probability of picking up the phone call. Because of course, their caller ID could say spam. It could just still say the number. They could have like an old system where it doesn't have a digital pad to see who's calling, and they're just gonna pick up. Or maybe you're talking to an older person that's not with the times, if you know what I mean. And for them to say, trying to do the opposite, let's just be honest. You guys don't make money if I replace a lot of numbers. The plan is already $300 a month. A 3-line dialer or a 5-line dialer, your 4 to 5-line dialer is very unstable anyway. So at best, it's a 3-line dialer at best for better stability. Anything more than 4 or 5, you're gonna jack up the false positives. And then they want me to speak to the tech rep over and over and over again. Whoever the tech rep is, his name is Sheen or Shine. And I respect the guy. The guy tried his very best. But if you had 2 years, this is 2024 summertime, and then now, fourth quarter of 2025. I started October 1st of 2025, and then calling it quits because they just had bad service. And then this is how they treat me. And then when I'm comparing to my friends that use other dialers, I'm like, hey, what's your connection rate? Wait, you're only calling 2 hours and you're getting that many conversations? That's crazy. And then what ticked me off the most is they don't give a crap if, like, for instance, on the 21st, my ISA called for about 6.5 hours or so, or made 2,000 calls. Out of those 2,000 calls, can you guess how many people actually picked up or talked to her? 25 conversations, 25 people. I'll show you right here. Right here. This was her last day using this dialer. She's using the other dialer, and it's very promising already. 13 to 17 conversations an hour. And it's not even connecting to a lot of false positives too, which is a plus. So the people that are the company itself, the people in the back end, they need to really fix what's happening with the false positives. 25 conversations on the 21st. 50 conversations on the 20th. 50 on the 19th, about 41. So mind you, these are 7-hour shifts. 41 divided by 7. Let's just say, she cold calls for 6.5 hours. You have a 30-minute break, or you're doing something like typing notes or something. 41 divided by 6.5 hours. You talk to 6 people. So you're telling me every 10 minutes you're talking to someone? That's insane. I want you to look at the wait time to actually talk to someone. From 45 to 37, that's about 8 minutes. 2-minute wait. She was probably on lunch. From here to here, it's almost 30 minutes of wait to talk to someone. Probably on break or something. 1 minute wait. 4 minute. 4 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. So it's random. It could be 1 minute to up to, like, look at this one. 20-minute wait. 3-minute wait. 3 minute. This is on a decent day. It's random. Yeah, look at this. 10-minute wait right here. 3 minute, 4 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute. Yeah, those 2 minutes are fine. That's fine. Yeah, but I'm not gonna nitpick. But I'm going over the average. 613 conversations. But you guys could just do the math yourself. If my ISA worked every day, 7 hours a day, that's 35, 7, 14, 21. It's 91 hours of conversation. Let's just say 10% is like taking notes or something, or on a break, whatever. You have 89 or 82 hours of cold calling. Times that by 60 minutes. And then you have 613 conversations. Your average wait time is 8 minutes. So that's a blended average. There are some times you're waiting for a longer period. But if this average is 8 minutes for a 3-line dial, that's really insane. Let's see, what else? I don't know why there's a checkbox there. I have nothing to read. And then they sent me an email claiming that I'm making more than 150 calls per phone number. Don't freaking kid yourself. I have 16 numbers. Times that by 150 dials each number. There's no way I'm making 9,000 calls in a single day. So this is them trying to... 1 second, let me pause this real quick. Yeah, so this is the email that they sent me. They said, hey, I'm reaching out because we detected abnormal phone number uses based on your calling patterns. It says 1 or more of your phone numbers exceeding recommendation of 150 calls per day. So mind you, each number is being rotated. If this calls, it's the next. It's the next six. It's the next number on rotation. They're evenly spread. You could see it yourself right here. I have proof right here. They're evenly spread. 66, 66. And these are replacement numbers, obviously. They're at the same intervals, 15, 15, 15, 15. So no numbers more than 150. This is them trying to weasel themselves out. And then I replied, I said, this. Their math is not mathing. This is them making some BS up to say, hey, this is the reason why your carriers are marking your numbers as spam and blah, blah, blah. This is even half. I assure you, all the calls that I make, they're less than 3,000 for sure. Take a look, take a look at yourself. $2,000, $1,700, $2,300, $900, December 2,500, December 15, 2,800, 2,900. Probably day off around that day. 2,900. So as you can see, it bounces from 22,000 to 2,900. Nowhere near 9,000 calls. That's insane. So I have 60 numbers. Times that by 150 is 9,000 calls. So if my average calls per day is 2,500, divide that by 60. It's 41. 3x lower than what you're claiming to do. So I really didn't have to reply to these guys, but I just found it very funny that they would say, oh, action is required. There's no action required. All my numbers are being rotated evenly. I'm not making 100 calls on one from number. So after all this study and research, guys, read 1 and 2. I'll let you read all this yourself. And this is them trying to charge you $1 if you replace any numbers here. Reply in 10 minutes. This guy logged in. This is me explaining I didn't know there was a $200 limit. I thought since it's marked as spam, it should be free. He's trying to do some troubleshoot. I mean, I already know all this already. And then Vince came in. He did a very sloppy job trying to troubleshoot, try to solve things. And then I found it very rich when he says, oh, we'll do it out of courtesy. We'll give you a credit out of courtesy. It's your mistake for giving me spam numbers and make me want to manually replace these numbers sooner than later. Yeah, they take their lovely time, like I mentioned. Even if this is marked as red, all 3 carriers are marked as red. You're probably going to be calling this, using this from number, using this number, whatever this dirty number is, for the entire day. Even 2 days. It takes up to 2 days or less than 2 days to even replace it. Yeah, 2 calling numbers, 1 in California and 1 in Texas. I called in 1 hour and then I called 6 hours in California. There's no way you could call 150 numbers with 20 numbers in Texas and then 40 numbers in California. It's no way. So that just concludes my part 2 and final review of BatchDialer. Abandon rate is 3%. Connection rate is not 6%. You have a lot of false positives there. Let's do the last 12 months. So dialing time, connected calls. Yeah, so these are the numbers right here. I think this should be a little bit higher. I don't know why it's very low. 9,277 divided by 125, 135. That's a 7% connection rate, but mind you, the other half is actually dead positives, false positives. About 60% answer machine, no one answer, not interested. About 209s already on the market. You got 3% that actually 4,000 of the calls already dead air. 72 leads. Yeah, you can look at all these percentage pickup answering calls. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Leave it in the comments. The customer service, they don't really, it's, the people on the customer service, they try their very best, but I recommend talk to someone that are higher up, like a Ben. But Ben still didn't solve the root problem. Why are you giving us bad numbers? Or why do you give your users bad numbers to begin with? This is obviously no one's ever gonna pick up these phone calls when they're marked as spam. 2 carriers are marked as spam, and they still call this screen. So maybe to tell you, hey, it's still okay to use this number. Who knows? Maybe they could be lying and say, hey, it's clean. So randomly, call your own cell phone and see if it's marked as clean. Call your, Google Voice number that you have to see if it's marked as clean. Even randomly call your friend to see if your from numbers are marked as clean. Let's see. Anyways, that concludes my review for the. I mean, you guys can make the decision, but for me, it's not. It's definitely a hard pass. I stood by them for too long than I should have. But I trusted them too long to see if there's a possible way to help. But they try their best to help and give me like a free month or whatever. But if you're gonna continue to just give me, bad numbers day by after day, and they're not even whitelisted or they're not cleaning the numbers, then my productivity drops like 80%. So just imagine you're calling for 1 hour, but you're really productive like 15 minutes of that hour. So it's a triple negative when you make calls with BatchDialer.